Hey guys, how's it going? Today I'm going to be showing y'all how to do this cool light switch transition. It's a pretty simple transition, just a little tedious. Shout out to MVM Spectre on Instagram. This is where I saw this effect, and he actually has a tutorial uploaded, but he just left out a few things that I wanted to add on top of it. So yeah, shout out to him. You will need two plugins, and that will be the Sapphire plugin and the Deep Glow plugin, but I'll also show you a way to do this with straight stock effects. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. All right, let's go. So we're going to start off with these two clips, and it's just, you know, these two cars in the parking lot, and then they switch onto the road. We're going to add a marker and then extend these two clips by 3. So 1, 2, 3 forward for the top clip, and then go back to the marker, and then go back 1, 2, 3 for the bottom clip, so you go backwards 3. Now we're going to duplicate this top clip and then add Luma key onto this, and then we're just gonna hide the bottom 2 layers so we can see this Luma key, and then we're just gonna up the threshold until we can't see anything but just the lights in the shot. We're gonna mask out all of these lights so only the headlights are being visible. For your case, if you're not doing a car or anything and you're doing like a lamp, just mask out the light source that you're going to be editing, that you want the light to come out of and transition into. For the sake of time, I'm just gonna have this transition on 2 of the headlights. I know the example has 4, but you can do this as many times as you want. So if you have 4 light sources and you want to transition them into something else, you duplicate this layer 3 times so you have 4 copies. And for my case, since I'm only going to do 2, I'm going to duplicate it 1 more time so I have 2 copies. So now I'm just going to mask out this and this one. So those are the 2 light sources that I'm going to transition to the next one. Perfect. So now we only have the 2 headlights. Now we're gonna add Deep Glow onto the 2 duplicated layers. For this one, you don't have to follow an exact percentage. You can just eyeball it, and then you're just gonna copy the Deep Glow onto all of your duplicates. Now that we got this, we're going to hover over our next clip on our timeline. So now we kind of have these 2 over this shot, so we know where these lights are going. What we're gonna do is get the pen tool, deselect everything on your timeline, and it's important that you click the light from your first clip and then your second clip so that it doesn't have the effect go backwards. And then deselect again, and then do the same thing for the next headlights. And I'm just going to trim these 2 line layers down. As you can see, over here the line looks perfect, but then as we proceed throughout the clip, kind of moves away from it. So what we're going to do on both of these layers is we're going to go to content, shape, and then we're going to go on path, and we're going to click the stopwatch and then go to the end of the clip, click path, and then we're just going to adjust this over the headlight. I'm just going to go back a few just to see if there's any mistakes, which there is, and I'm going to do the same thing for this one. So content, shape, path, and then I'm going to click stopwatch, bring this down to the beginning, adjust it to this, and then we're going to do the same thing at the end. Perfect. All right, and now that that's done, we're going to click add, trim paths, and then under trim paths, we're going to animate 2 things, which is going to be the start and end. And for the start and end, we're going to make both of them 0 and 0 at the beginning, and then at the end, we're going to make them 100, 100. And we're going to do that for both of these. Add trim path, and then 100, 100, and then 0, 0. So right now you won't be able to see any of the effects, and that's because we're gonna have to change the graph for the start and end on both of the lines so that we can actually see a bit of the line travel throughout the entire clip instead of the whole line. So we're gonna easy ease by clicking F9 on your keyboard, and then we're gonna go to the start, highlight the start, and then follow this graph. You can do the same thing on the graph editor. You just highlight this, but I'm just going to use this over here and apply, and then we're going to do the same thing for the bottom, but this time we're going to drop this top one down a bit and then drop this bottom one down and pull it a little to the right so that it looks kind of like that. As we go through the clip, you can kind of see the dots shooting out. And now we're going to do the same thing for this one. For it to look similar, we're just going to highlight these 2 start and end from the one that you just animated. Copy it, and then we're just going to highlight the bottom, the next line, and then we're just going to paste it onto there. From here, we're just going to add Deep Glow again, and it's going to be the same one that you added on the lights. So you can copy it and then just paste it onto the 2. But right now the line looks a little too sharp, and we don't want that. We want it to look like orb of light kind of transferring from one light source to another. So we're going to do this by highlighting both and then adding motion blur on both of them, so now it looks less sharp And I also forgot to mention, if you're working with different color of light, so if you're transitioning from like yellow to yellow or something, make sure to change the stroke color up here to whatever you want. For my case, I can just use white. And now we want to widen this a bit, so I'm gonna use Sapphire Distort on the bottom one, and I'm just gonna bring the amount down just enough so that it connects everything together, so that it's a lot more white in the middle. And then we're gonna just copy and paste this onto the next line. Perfect. So now we kind of have this light coming from here and moving up, but now we want to blend these two clips. We're gonna do this by using a shake, and then we're also going to try and blend these two clips so that it kind of fades out and fades in smoothly. To do this, we're going to go to the top clip, go forward one keyframe, and then click opacity, and then go to the end and then bring it all the way to 0. And then for the bottom one, we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to go to the end, gonna add 0, and then we're going to go one keyframe before this one fades out completely, and then we're going to bring that to 100. So now it kind of shoots into each other. And then for these duplicates, we're going to apply the same opacity that we did for the base layer, so we can just copy and paste both of those. Alright, and something I add, you don't have to do this, but something I liked to add was just adding brightness and contrast. I think the contrast especially adds a lot to it, so I'm just gonna go there, and then the brightness, and then bring up the contrast a lot, around to 60, and then I'm gonna bring the brightness down around 115, so that when it fades out, it brings out the blacks a lot more. And I'm going to use the legacy version. I think it just blends in a lot better. But now we can add a shake just to make this look a lot more clean. And we're going to do that by adding an adjustment layer, trimming it down. And then we're just going to add a sapphire shake onto it. And then we're going to keyframe amplitude, frequency, and then enable motion blur. And then we're going to add another keyframe at the end, and then another keyframe right in the middle where the marker is. Our amplitude is going to stay 1, but our frequency is going to be 6.1 or somewhere around that, depending on how your clip looks. And then for the last and first keyframes, we're just going to make it 0. I'm actually going to move this up 1 from the marker, and then I'm going to easy ease all of these, and then I'm going to add this graph so that it happens a little later and kind of ramps into it. And there you go, there's that shake. And then we're just gonna add motion tile over both the bottom clips, 200 output for height and width, and then mirror edges so that we don't have that black bar at the bottom. And yeah, that's the effect. It's a pretty smooth, quick effect. If you have a lot of light sources, then it does get a little tedious, but I think the end product is really worth it. Now I'm just going to show you guys how to do this if you are only using stock. So for the shake, instead of using S shake, we're going to instead use transform, and we're going to add that onto the adjustment layer instead. And same thing, position at the beginning and end, but this time we're going to add a keyframe after the mark and then at the mark, and these two are going to be our shake. So for our position, we're just going to kind of bring it up a little, and then for the next keyframe, we're going to bring it down into the corner like that, and then we're just going to enable motion blur. And then again, we're going to easy ease everything. In these first two keyframes, we're going to add this graph, and there you go, same shake. Looks pretty similar. And for the glow, let me solo this. Instead of using deep glow, you can use just a stock glow effect. All you have to do is bring down the threshold, up the radius a bit, and then up the intensity, and now you have this glow. You can apply this on your 2 Luma keys and also your 2 lines. And then for the line, I haven't really found a way to work around this. If anyone else knows, in the comments. And yeah, there's the glow and the shake. I'd say it looks pretty identical to the plugin version. There's just, a few minor differences. But yeah, there's the full effect. Thank you guys so much for watching. This is my first tutorial, so if I didn't explain anything clear, leave a comment and I'll try and get to you as quick as I can. If you do have any suggestions on something that you want to see, an effect that you want me to break down and kind of recreate, let me know in the comments. Maybe provide me a link or something and I can try and make a video, and I'll keep that suggestion in mind. Thank you so much for watching and have a good day.